I've seen that you've chosen for your study pretty well the highest room in the house. In fact, it feels rather like being on the bridge of a battleship here.
I like to be high when I'm working. It's the real reason why I took this house. This house was a kind of folly, you know. It was built just before the First World War. It looks enormous, particularly from below. As a matter of fact, it's not very large. It wouldn't even hold my family if they all arrived here together. But it has a fine hall, which is very good for music.
But you like the height because of the landscape, do you?
I like the height because I want the broad view. When you're working all day, not all day, but most of the days I am, I think you feel less restless if you can look out of the window and you see a very extensive sweep of landscape and seascape as you do here.
Now, on the desk in front of you there, I see in a place of honor a typewriter. Is that what you use for your work or just for letter writing?
No, I've been using typewriters for about 40 years, and now about the only thing I can sign is my name. It's about the only thing I can write in longhand, I mean. I think I was wrong. I think if I had my time over again, I'd write rather than type, so that in the middle of the night, if I wanted to write something, I could do it quietly in longhand and not use this thing.
And in front of the typewriter here, a very large bowl of pipes.
Ah, yes. I've been smoking pipes for 45 years. I started with cut Cavendish at threepence halfpenny an ounce, and now I smoke fancy mixtures at, I don't know what.
Much too much an ounce.
Well, about 4 and 6 to 5 shillings. Mostly tax, you know, not tobacco.
What's that motor book doing over there on your right?
I'll bet you, I'll bet you'd never guess what I use that for.
A sign of travel, checking mileage?
Not a bit. This morning, I was doing some notes for a new play, and I was finding names for characters, and I always find names for characters out of the AA book. I've done this for many, many years. I may not use the exact names I find in the AA book, but something like them, and it saves me a lot of trouble.
Must make an occasional journey rather interesting,
Oh, yes, I see my minor characters on signposts all over the country. Oh, yes.
And around you here, your library now, is this a very well catalogued library?
Well, it's a pretty large library. I've got about 10,000 books. They're roughly sorted out. For instance, that's drama and poetry's over there. These are reference books. Philosophy and psychology and general literature over there. It's a working library because I'm a long way from anywhere here, and if I want a book quickly, I want to have it here. I may say I never have it here because when I want a book very urgently, it never is here because I've lent it to somebody.
How much time do you spend in your study? I mean, do you start at some unearthly hour, like 5:30 in the morning, or what?
No, I never write at 5:30 in the morning. I usually start after breakfast about 9:45 or 10, work through to lunchtime. Don't work in the afternoon because I don't think it's any good to anybody. Then pick it up after an early cup of tea and go on till about 7:45, which incidentally means no cocktail parties.
No. And when you're at it, how intensive a worker are you? Do you plan and prepare very carefully beforehand and then settle down to writing the novel or the play, or do you think of the idea and then get right into your typewriter?
Well, the way I usually work, I think a good deal about the thing. I don't make many notes. I never write a careful synopsis, as some writers do, because I have a theory that a synopsis written in cold blood is limiting your imagination when you come actually to write. But take a play, for instance. I think a good deal round the thing, make a few notes, not a great many, and then get down and work like mad on the thing, driving myself very hard, working very fast, because I believe that the mind is like the engine of a car. You must rev it up to get everything in.
Can you work on two things at the same time?
No, apart from little articles and introductions to books and that sort of thing, but a major creative job I do one at a time, and then go from one to the other, thinking that a change is as good as a rest.
What have you written since you've been here at Brook Hill?
Oh, well, let me see. I came here in '48. The first big job I did here was a long, long comic novel called Festival at Farbridge,
Yeah.
which is about 275,000 words long, far longer than The Good Companions or Angel Pateman. I think it's my most underrated novel, if I may say that.
Why is that?
Well, I think because we tied it up, or I tied it up, to the Festival of Britain. By the time it came out, everybody was sick of the Festival of Britain. They just flogged the thing to death, as they flog every topic to death now, with the result that people said, I don't want to read a novel about the Festival of Britain. But I see it still as my great comic novel. I don't say a great comic novel, I say my great comic novel.
What about plays?
Then other things here I did, well, the book of essays, Delight, a comic story like Low Notes on a High Level, the comedy that's playing now, Mr. Kettle and Mrs. Moon.
That's just recently opened in London.
It has, yes, and then the new play, Take the Fool Away, which is having its world premiere in Vienna later this year. All, by the way, things with a great deal of comedy in them. I don't know whether that seems to you odd in view of this strange reputation I have as a very gloomy man.
Well, how does the sentence in the legend run that Jolly Jack Priestley has been replaced by the prophet of gloom?
I
That
know.
it?
Well, I don't know about the Jolly Jack. I don't know that he ever existed. But I would say I'm a good deal jollier now than I was 20 years ago, as the work will testify.
The cactus house looks out on a rough sort of terrace, where it's exceedingly nice to sit in hot weather and look over the sea. That gives some idea, I think, of how high the house is and why it commands such views. And then all these pine trees give rather nice rough walks. It's all very rough, for the soil is extremely poor. We can't do very much in the way of cultivating flowers. But these walks are exceedingly nice and lovely piney smells in hot weather. The little rock garden where it breaks one's heart trying to raise plants in the sea winds. And the flowers, as you see, flower garden is not at all large, but it just does to make flowers for the house. These rockery steps, I may say, are absolute death, being so uneven. There's another view of the house, again giving some impression of its height and suggesting the kinds of views which are really its great virtue.
And there's one other thing in this room that you haven't mentioned.
Ah,
A television set. Is that a recreation?
well, you're speaking about this instrument, are you? Well, I tell you, I do turn it on from time to time. I find out what I want to look, and then I turn it on and attend to it. I don't turn it on at what time? 7 o'clock every night, and then let it go as a kind of background noise and glitter. I am, in fact, the selective viewer. And I believe about this thing that we'll be at our best with it when we have two different kinds of programs. One for what I call substitute entertainment, that is, theatre brought to the home, variety brought to the home, ballet brought to the home, and so on. And the other kind is the sort of program that only television can do. Rather small, rather intimate, incidentally. And I look forward to the time when those two things are completely separated, and I shall look at the things meant for television only.
Well, now then, since you've termed yourself a selective viewer, I want to rejoin Mrs. Priestley to ask her and you to do one thing for us before we say goodbye for tonight. Since you are, as I say, a selective viewer, would you like to switch it on and see what's going on at the moment?
All right.
I'll see you later.
I'll risk it. Let's see. Well, I don't like the look of the back of that man's head. Looks to me as if he's wearing a wig. Why don't you take me to a decent barber's?